Peace to everyone. So, pardon the background. I'm at work right now, but I just got the news about, 2 hours ago, roughly, that Judge Mauser, Mvskoke Nation District Court, ruled in favor of bringing the freedmen back into the tribe. Her interpretation is that the Article 2 of the 1866 Creek Treaty basically guarantees the right of the freedmen to be citizens. AG Gary Weisner is going to be appealing this, and it's going to have to go before National Council. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens between now and then. We'll see how many people acquire citizenship. Ronna Grayson is set to get her citizenship. There's another individual as well. The name escapes me at the moment, but they're celebrating right now. And for those who are on their side of the issue, you're probably celebrating as well. And here's how I'm looking at the situation personally. I look at the comments of these different videos of different things. I'm seeing braggadociousness. I'm seeing people actually I'm seeing people say, oh, well, now we're going to get to, run for the government office as well. It's like, I'm not a Quarter Creek, so I can't run for office under the current Constitution, but they're assuming that they who have zero blood are going to be able to do so because of the implications, and maybe the implications will be that way if judges rule in that way, but it's not going to be that simple. The National Council can still overturn this, and ultimately I don't know. I look at the wording of Article 2 of the 1866 Creek Treaty, and I am not seeing what the judge is seeing. I'm seeing that it's as may be permitted by the laws of the nation, and that means as may be permitted by the laws of Creek Nation, that these individuals might be made citizens. The judge finds that the basic Creek Nation has been in violation of the rights of the freedmen. Rights so-called in this situation, because the reality is it is up to the nation to decide this. And personal opinion, this needs to be something that the Mvskoke people decide and vote on as a people. That's my opinion on this. And yeah, as time goes on, less and less of us have 1/4 or more Creek blood, and eventually the government will eventually have to fall into the hands either of a very select elite few, or people less than 1/4 by blood are going to be running the government. I see that being more likely anyway. But now you've got individuals who have no blood in the nation, and they're saying we're just as Indian as everybody else. Now here's the thing that pisses me off about that, personally, is that my ancestors were here before Europeans, before blacks, before Asians, before anybody else, okay? And I'm being told, essentially, both directly and indirectly, because I've had people comment on this in some of my videos, I'm being told directly and indirectly that they're just as Indian as I am. So you're telling me that my ancestors that were in Alabama and Georgia before African slaves were brought over by white people, that my ancestors are no more Creek than you are because of one judge's interpretation of Article 2 of the 1866 Creek Treaty, which, if you look at the language, it does allow for there to be changes, because it says according to the laws of the nation. If the laws of the nation say you have to be Creek by blood, then you got to be Creek by blood, and that's still within the verbiage of the 1866 Article 2. It still allows, it still permits Creek Nation to say, hey, well, we allowed it then, we're not allowing it now. So there's a loophole there. There is a legal loophole there. The judge is ignoring it. The problem is AG Gary Weisner, during the proceedings, decided to basically get the judge replaced, and that pissed the judge off. And I'm wondering, I don't know this for sure, but that didn't help the ruling. Was this revenge on the part of the judge's, side? I don't know. Like, it definitely didn't help Weisner's, case. Maybe he saw the storm was coming anyway and decided to replace the judge because he felt the judge was going to rule in favor of the freedmen. And that's what I think probably is the case. But that doesn't mean that... that doesn't mean that I'm right. I mean, maybe there was revenge. I don't know. I know that Jared Moore definitely stated in Mvskoke Media that it certainly didn't help their, he stated this like weeks ago, that it didn't help their case. Maybe it was even a month ago. I'm trying to remember. It was recent, but not super recent. Not as recent as the current ruling, which was supposed to have been done months ago. So obviously it's a complex issue, and for many, because of the implications and because of other powers that be and the constant lawsuits. So my opinion is that I want to see the Mvskoke people, I want to see this appealed, and I want to see it overturned. Then what I want to see happen is I'd like to see the actual citizens of Mvskoke Nation be given a fair and accurate historical knowledge of what actually has been going on, and then bring it to the voting table. And then if the Mvskoke people decide, hey, this is what we want, then that's it. That's it. It's a done deal. Well, it's a done deal as long as Mvskoke Nation says so. If Mvskoke Nation were to later overturn it again and say, no more freedmen again, I mean, yeah, it doesn't look good, but they could do so within the verbiage of Article 2 of the 1866 Creek Treaty. So it just would look really bad if they did. I mean, it would. So you can't keep flip-flopping on things. It's gonna, it's gonna make you look bad. It's gonna make us look bad historically. We also got to worry about the here and now. I mean, you got to look at what are the implications as far as the government, as far as citizenship. What happens when the citizens not of blood vote on new, very progressive issues like, hey, let's bring Ukrainians, let's give them citizenship, right? Let's bring some refugees over and give them citizenship in Mvskoke Nation. And Mvskoke people are like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, what? I'm just as Indian as you are. I'm just as Indian as you are. I'm just as Creek, I'm just as Mvskoke. It doesn't matter that none of my ancestors actually, were originally from this country until, the transatlantic slave trade and, whatever. But I'm just as Indian as you are. Okay, that's the implication, and that's the bragging that's going on right now, and I really dislike that a lot. I do take that actually as a personal insult. I do. And anyone who's Creek by blood, I feel, should also take that as an insult, because that's not okay, because it's not true. That was less than 200 years ago, yet the Mvskoke people have been around for much longer than that. And Creek Nation, as a recognized entity, has been around longer than the United States. And as a people, as a culture, as a language group, et cetera, we date further back than that in some form or fashion. But when people say, I'm just as Indian as you are, it's like, no, you're not. Your ancestors came from a completely different place in the world, and they were brought here not that long ago when you think about it. Maybe before 1776, but some after that as well. And Creek Nation was already very well established. You had Alexander McGillivray as our principal chief, during the late 1700s, and yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's issues with the statements that are going out. So I disagree with the judge's interpretation of the verbiage of Article 2, and which I've read to you guys before. I've gone over in a previous video the entire 1866 treaty, and at least, I mean, I highlighted all the points of it. I basically had to bullet point the entire treaty because I didn't have the entire printout in front of me, but I went over everything. I wrote it all down, basically, and I highlighted, you know, what this section means, what that means, and you can go check it out. And if you want to compare that side by side with the actual 1866 treaty, you could do so. But yeah, the whole, you know, like, as may be permitted, I may not even mention that as specifically, but I definitely had discussions about that since, and I believe there were some comments about that as well. And I feel like this is something that needs to be overturned. This court ruling needs to be overturned so it can be brought back in the proper way if it's going to be brought in. I don't feel like Creek Nation has been in violation, and I think the judge is wrong. And I think that if people want the Creek Freedmen back into the tribe, it needs to be voted on. But I want people to know the implications, both the financial implications, the resource implications, the cultural implications, because you got people right now saying, I'm just as Indian as you, and now the judge is making it so. I'm sorry. A modern court cannot make that decision, in my opinion, and the opinion of many people. If you're really Indian, you're really Indian. And if you're not really Indian, but you say you are because the judge says so, well, I'm sorry. You're no more Indian than Governor Stitt of Oklahoma. And we all know that he doesn't have real Cherokee blood, but he does have real Cherokee citizenship because his ancestor bought his way under the rolls. And now it can't be overturned because of technicality within the laws. And it was done before a certain date, and therefore Governor Stitt and all of his fellow descendants of Mr. Dawson are now and forever Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma citizens. But we know they're not really Cherokee. They're not really Cherokee. They're not. And Governor Stitt is, as a non-Cherokee citizen, he is antagonistic towards Indian tribes. What happens when, I'm sorry, when the freedmen say, you know what, it's our turn. We're gonna get in government, and now we're going to get back at everybody who didn't want us to have citizenship. Well, there'll be a target on my back, because, you know, it's not because I'm hateful or any of that kind of stuff. It's because I want this to go through the proper channels. I want the people to decide. I want the Mvskoke people to decide. Okay. And so when people are telling, like I said, when people are telling me I'm just as Indian as you are, and they're not, I'm not talking about percentage, because I don't care about percentage. I care that the ancestry is there. That's what I care about. You can have black skin, white skin, you know, brown, yellow, red, whatever. I don't care. What I care about is that you have Mvskoke Indian blood to have citizenship in our nation. And so that's where I stand. I would support, or I would abide by the decision of the people were to say, let's do this. But not under false pretexts or pretenses. Not under, oh, well, people just denied them because they have black skin. No, there's tons of people with black skin who were Indians by blood that actually made it onto the final Dawes rules as, you know, Indians by blood. Okay. Not as full bloods, but so what? I mean, you know, they're not full bloods. Who cares? I don't. Like, do I look like a full blood? No. So do you think I care if someone's a full blood? Not really. So, but I want the people to make an educated and informed decision on the issue. I don't want one judge to just say, okay, well, my interpretation is right, therefore Creek Nation's been wrong the whole time. And when there's different, there's definitely different ways of reading the same words, apparently. And here's the thing, I look at it this way. Judges misrule on things all the time. Like, I'm a big gun guy. I love guns. I don't have tons of them, I have a few. But You look at all the laws in California that keep jumping back and forth regarding whether this law is constitutional or not, whether it actually violates the Second Amendment or not, which they do all the time, okay? All you have to do is look at the verbiage of the Second Amendment, and it's obvious that any law that infringes upon your right to keep and bear arms is in fact an infringement on your right to keep and bear arms. It's so simple. It's so straightforward, okay? And that's the best example, the easiest example I can think of for what happens, why judges often rule incorrectly, but they get away with it for a while. So I feel like the judge ruled incorrectly on this. I think it needs to be overturned. But eventually, yeah, bring it to the ballot box. Let people decide through their vote as citizens by blood that they want to bring non-citizens into the tribe. But they got to understand, look, you know, there's going to be financial implications to all this. Guaranteed there's going to be financial implications to all of this. And, you know, just be prepared for that if you vote yes. That's what I want to see happen. I want to see people make that informed decision. I want them to understand that it's not because these individuals have black skin, it's because they don't have Indian blood that they were denied citizenship. Okay? Some of them actually do have Indian blood that's traceable, but technicalities I mentioned before have led to them being listed as freedmen because they're moms instead of by blood because their dads were actually Indian, but they were dead at the time of the final laws. Okay, there's things of that nature that have to be, you know, that I absolutely always said should be rectified. But then you have, you know, what else is going on? So anyway, this is fresh news. This is new stuff. This is very, very relevant to what's going on in Mvskoke Nation right now, and what's going to be. It's going to affect us from this time moving forward. It's going to be a domino effect, one way or the other. It's we're in a very interesting time in our history, and this is a very important topic right now. And it's always been an important topic, but it's definitely an important topic right now. So, anyways, guys, let me know what you think. And try to keep it civil, okay? Because I respond to comments. So, all right, hello everyone.